Welcome to my Flosstube channel, Stitching Fleur. I'm Fleur and I'm going to be talking to you about my stitching. So, it's been a month, February being a short month, only 28 days. So, let's see what I have been up to. So, we'll start with my whips. My first whip is the Long Dog Sampler's Death by Cross Stitch. Looks like this. Everybody's favourite. I am stitching this on 28 count deep burgundy Lugana, and it is being stitched with DMC 822. I have a cone of it, which is like a dirty cream colour. And I've made the first column finish, so I'll just show you. This is what it looks like. So, page 1, because I start from the right to the left, so I'm working my way down the far right hand column. Page 1, page 2, page 3, and I just had the bottom page 4, as you can see here. So that completes that column now. Really loving this piece. Every time I pick it up I enjoy it. It's got lots of repetitive patterns, little motifs, so it's like a little mini finish along the way, but it's looking really good. And I'll continue to work on that one and get another page done during March, hopefully. Again, I don't have any firm rotation, so just pick up what calls to me. So that's Death by Cross Stitch on 28 count deep burgundy Lugana, 1/1 full crosses with DMC 822. So that's one of the whips that I worked on in February. The next one we saw in my last video, which is from Lakeside Needlecrafts. It's in conjunction with designer Doreen Jones. You've already seen January, which was the octopus. And I did give you a preview of February because I'd actually finished February. They released on the 2nd of each month. It's a year-long stitch-along. February was the shark with a few of his fishy friends. And March was also released, and that was just a group of fish. So that is the 3. Now with this series there is a custom dyed fabric that you'll see a lot of people stitching it on. It's got like a reflection of the ocean waters in it. I didn't use that fabric, I used my own. It is being stitched on 32 count Summer Breeze Lugana, 2/2 full crosses, and this is where it is at the moment. Let's fold it down a bit. It looks like this. So octopus from January, shark from February, and I've also completed March's block, which is the fishes group. This is a really fun stitch. I enjoy this. These don't take very long at all. I normally get these out in about 2 days, 2 stitching sessions that is. Not too complicated. My only thing with this particular series that when I think about it now, I probably would have changed. It's just that I was keen to start it, and so just used the call for threads and everything in it. But in some of the fish, there's a light effects, DMC light effects in here. Now I like using Krennic because I love that crunchy, thick, number 4 braid. But the light effects are painful to use. But I have found, I used on this little fish down here, 2 strands of the DMC light effects. So it's quite chunky and it was quite difficult to use. In the March release, where you can see the larger fish here, I used 1 strand. Much easier. I still don't like it. I think it's just the feel of it. It's not like Krennic, it's not like Petite Treasure Braid, it has its own little funk. But I find that 1 strand seems to work better, and it lies better. You know, the stitches lie neater. So that was the 3. So that was Lakeside Needlecrafts, exclusive design by Doreen Jones. Yearly stitch along, Under the Sea stitch along. And I'll put the links below if you want to join in. There is a Facebook group if you want to check it out as well. Really, really enjoying that, and love the fabric. I love the fabric that it's on. The next one that I'm doing is also by Lakeside Needlecrafts. This is a mini stitch along. This one is the Lakeside Needlecrafts Irresistible Insect Stitch Along. Custom fabric looks like the back of this page. A lot of people are using that. So this again is a mini stitch along, so it only goes for a very short time. So we've already had a release when it was released on the 17th of February, and another one that was released on the 3rd of March, and another one being released next week, at the end of the week. And there'll be a third one at the end of March, and then 2 in April when it's done. So with this one I didn't use the custom fabrics, I chose my own. I'll just show you the pictures of the first 2 releases. So the first release was the ladybug, and the second release was the butterfly. Now this one is exclusively designed by Little Beach Hut. If you don't know who Little Beach Hut is, they're on Etsy. Sarah. Fantastic designer. Love, if you check out her Etsy page or even on Facebook, you'll see she's got like the cutest otter pattern out of 2 otters holding hands with a little baby otter, and just recently released 2 puffins as well, I noticed on her Facebook page, so check her out as well. But this is Lakeside Needlecrafts mini stitch along in conjunction with Little Beach Hut. Now I didn't use the custom fabric with the leaf print on the back of it. I used a piece out of my stash, which is 28 count Jaslyn in Celtic Christmas. So in the first part that was released, we also got the border. So this was released on the 17th of February, and I completed, oh, let's see if I can hold this up. Is that gonna, maybe? Okay. So I hope they can see this okay. So the first part of the release was the border and the ladybug. So I've completed the entire border, the ladybug, and then the newest release, which is the butterfly. Now as you can see, I've left off the writing. I'm actually going to do this with all the releases in this series. It's just my preference. So this one will eventually be turned into a cushion. So really, really liking this green. It's like a nice foresty type green. But it's coming out really, really well. The picture for the second release, the butterfly, doesn't do it justice, as you can see. So that's the picture. So it looks a little dull. But when it actually stitches up, the butterfly itself is actually quite bright. So yeah, so I got quite a bit done on that one for February. Now the next work in progress that I have in February as well was Fingers of God by Jeff Pritchard, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. And this is what it looks like at the moment. This is being stitched on 25 count Easy Guide, and this is where it is at the moment. So one small page completion there on the right, and getting there with the next page. It's quite confetti heavy. I mean, most of the detail is in the sky. So I'll put this next to it. So as you can see over here, but all across the sky is where the most detail is. So there's quite a bit of, it's very confetti heavy. Through the sky, but the confetti is what makes it. So I'm just sticking with it. I love it. It's coming out. The clouds are coming through. It's really coming together. So I'm hoping to get that page finished. This one is probably going to take about 2 years at this stage, at this rate. So I'm really excited to see it come together. So it's on 25 count, easy count, 1/1 Lugana. Love working on the easy count. It is easy, as it's called. That's that one. And the last whip that I worked on in February and going into March was the Stitch Rovia charity stitch along. This one is one that is designed by Emma Congdon, and the proceeds are going to Mind UK. So this is the first part that was released. So the border, the main quote bit at the top there, which is a little misleading when you're actually stitching it, because it looks like it would be a pretty quick stitch up, and it's not. That's quite full. So that was the first part that was released, and then the February release was the second quote, sorry. So the first quote was, be yourself, everyone else is already taken. Second release, have patience with all things, especially yourself. Most of all yourself, sorry. And then the third release was, in order to be irreplaceable, one must always be different. And that was the March release. Okay, now I still have this one on the Q-snap, so I'm just going to take it off. Now this one is stitched on 32 count summer khaki linen. For anyone that bought the partial semi-kit from Casanina for a rezo, Nora Corbett's a rezo that I showed in my last video, the fabric that came with it was this fabric. When I first got it, I knew straight away that it wasn't the right fabric for me, for my rezo piece. But when I was looking for something that would match the coral colours in this design, this was perfect. So I'm really happy with it. It does have the slubs in it. I'm going to try and sort of navigate around. Let's see, it's going to be quite crinkly, so I apologise. It's not ironed or anything. Let's see how we go. So it's going to be wrinkly. So as you can see, I've completed the main quotes part here up the top. First quote and the second, and just working on the third. So it's coming along quite well. I haven't finished the border on the outside. Once I get to this bottom quote here and finish the circular border that was with it, then I'll go back and I'll complete the border. And then it will be ready and awaiting for April's release. So they're the whips that I've been working on during February and the first week of March. And I really enjoyed them. I was hoping to have more done on Fingers of God, but I'm having issues at the moment because obviously with lighting and things like that. But we'll be solving that shortly. So they're my whips. That's what I've been working on. Okay, so as you can see, it's been pretty busy February, and I'm pretty happy with my updates on what I've managed to do over the last 4 weeks. It has been pretty hectic behind the scenes. My cameraman, in the week after we filmed our last video, broke his ankle and a few other things. So, unfortunately he is on crutches, hence why you're not hearing the camera zoom in each time on my pieces. So I apologise for those that like to get it really up close. So yeah, it's been pretty interesting trying to manage things at home and the 4 kids and get some stitching time in there as well. So I'm going to move on to my Stitch Back in Time. So my first one that I'm going to show you is the Things Unseen Mystery Sampler series from Lizzie Kate. It came out a little while ago. It's a 3-part series. It's the Helen Keller quote, "The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart." So it came out in 3 parts. That's what it looks like. And this is what mine looks like. Hopefully you won't be able to see through this. Okay, so this one is stitched on 32 count stone Lugana, 1/1, and I used the Weeks Dye Work threads that were called for in this series. And the buttons and everything else that needed to go with it. The only thing I changed in this, and whilst I'm not OCD, I do like things to be sort of in a little bit of order, is the flowers. One of these flowers, there was supposed to be like 2 in a row at the top, but I like the fact that there was different one each long, so one pink, one white, one pink, one white. So I changed it. So that's what it looks like. 32 count, Stone Lugana, Things Unseen mystery sampler from Lizzie Kate, the 3-part series. I know Garrett was stitching this one. I think he actually finished this one. And there's a few others that are doing it as well. So that eventually will be framed, but that's one of my stitch back in times. Really, really fun. It's got the beads, it's got the gorgeous threads. It's definitely worthwhile getting the Weekstyle Works threads. I'm also one of those people that when I look at a series and I think, shall I get the Weekstyle Works? They are a lot more expensive here in Australia. So if the pattern calls for quite a few stitches in the Weekstyle Works, then I will get the hand-dove threads. But if it's only a few stitches here and there, then I won't go to the expense of getting the Weekstyle Works. It's way too expensive, especially if you're going to get quite a few skeins of it. So that's the first one. The second one that I have is, and I don't have a picture for this one unfortunately, I'm giving this chart away, is Country Cottage Needleworks, An Afternoon in Paris. This one was stitched on 32 count sapphire linen, and I actually stitched this 1/1. Most people have stitched this 2/2. I know Vonna's completed it. It looks like, and also Andrea from Andrea Stitches in Colorado is stitching this one. So mine is 1/1, 32 count sapphire linen, and it's finished and complete. Just needs to be FFO'd. I left the bluebird off the Arc de Triomphe because it looked massive in comparison to the rest of the series. Sort of like everything looks in proportion, and then it had this big gigantic bluebird sitting on the corner of the Arc de Triomphe, so I left that off. So that's Afternoon in Paris by Country Cottage Needleworks. And that was really fun, and I also used the Call for threads in that one, which is the classic colour works and wheat dye works and things like that. Now I do have in my stash, and I have started it, but obviously stitching that one I burnt out a little bit, so I stopped. It will get complete, is Afternoon in London, and it looks like this. So by Country Cottage Needleworks, Afternoon in London. Now this one's being stitched on the same fabric, so 32 count sapphire linen, 1/1. I know that's not for everyone's liking, but it keeps it nice and petite, especially since there's so many in this series. I don't own Afternoon in New York or Afternoon in Rome. That may change, we'll see how we go. So that's Afternoon in London, and again with the Call for threads. They don't take very long to stitch up, normally about a week for these particular ones, so I probably should just get on with it and get that one done. Now the two other ones that I have, I won't go into a big lengthy story about them. They're ones from early on when I first started cross stitching. They're gifts from relatives. Normally relatives don't give me stitching items, other than my husband obviously. Under duress, no, just kidding. And so when I initially started stitching, and so they gave me cross stitch items. One of them was in a kit. There was 2 different ones. One was a sunflower and one was an iris. Now these 2 pieces that I'm going to show you actually went through the Carnarvon floods, as I've said in an earlier video. We went through the Carnarvon floods. We lost our roof. We had water coming up, water coming in, and a lot of my stitching items were destroyed, unfortunately. These are some that were salvaged and cleaned as best they can, but they still, I hold on to them because they're special to me, sentimental I guess you could call it, but they're not ones that I could really hang, I don't think. Maybe, I mean if anyone has a suggestion I'm willing to take that on board. So this one is part of that kit, so again one was sunflower, or daffodil I think it was, and one was irises. So it's like on 14 count, back in the old days. I think all the stitches are going the right way. That's that one. So it's been washed a few times, obviously, since it's been salvaged, but it's still not perfect. There's still some marks on it. But at least the red dirt's out of it. Thank goodness for that. Now this second one is from a booklet that was given to me by my grandparents. It is a recipe for strawberry jam. I don't have the book. The book as well was destroyed, along with a lot of other things. But I managed to salvage the piece. But again, the fabric is a bit worse for wear, but it's special. And the gift was from my grandparents to stitch this, so I'm going to hold on to it. This is what it looks like. I believe that's also 14 count, just with the usual DMC. It's a really pretty piece, but again, I'm mainly holding on to it because it means a lot to me. You know, it's rare to get cross-stitching gifts from family members, and these are one of them. This is two of them, sorry. That I managed to salvage, and so I just hold on to them for sentimental reasons. So this came from an actual booklet. So that is my stitch back in time. So what have I got next? Let's see. What am I going to be working on for the rest of March? Well, I've already completed my Under the Sea Stitch Along March release, so I won't be working on that until the beginning of April with the next release. The Insect Stitch Along, the Irresistible Insect Stitch Along from Lakeside Needlecrafts in conjunction with Little Beach Hut. There's two more releases in March, one next week and then another one 2 weeks after that, so I'll have those two completed by my next video. Also get another page of Death by Cross Stitch, because I really want to push through and get that one completed by the end of this year. Well, that's the plan. I also want to complete my Fingers of God page, because I want to see that one progress. That one, like I said, I'm going to give it about a two-year limit. I think it should be complete within about 2 years at this pace. And then I'll also continue with my Stitchrovia charity stitch along that comes out each month. But again, finishing that little bit of the March release, that will only take another 1 or 2 stitching sessions, and then that should be complete. So I have a bit left in March to be able to do. So what I've done is I've actually pulled one of my whips in waiting. It's Angel of Hope. I don't have the picture at the moment. I keep misplacing it. I don't know why. So Angels of Hope by Lavender and Lace. I've had this one for a while, but I've only recently started it, like in the last 18 months from memory. So this is stitched on 32 count, see, I forgot now, 32 count Jack's Rum Lugana by Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. And this is where it is at the moment. Actually, I put a bit of paper behind it. Shouldn't be too bad because the fabric's quite good. So this is what it looks like at the moment. It's a gorgeous gold colour. I really, really love the colour that I chose to go with it. Now the reason why I stopped this one is because I did the best part first. So her blue sash, some of the gold krennic in it, and the little bits of the floral red that you can see. I even did her face and her hair. So all I have left now is white. White and lots of bucks. So what my plan is to do 100 stitches a month, and I will have this complete by the end of the year. She has white wings, she has a white dress, and the only other thing that I need to complete is the, what's it called? The heart. The heart that she has in her hand, in the gold specialty thread that they specify, which I can't do until I complete the dress. So I'm going to be in white hell for the next, what month are we in? March. So for the next nine months, I'm going to be stitching white. So I'm going to do 100 stitches. I think that's pretty doable on this Angel of Hope, so I can get it done and completed. So yeah, that's my push, I think, at this stage. I've got a couple of whips, as you've seen. I've shown a couple here and there. I'll always come back to anything I start. Nothing is a UFO. I don't have any UFOs. But some things take my interest and then I'll stitch somewhere else. I don't have a firm rotation, so that way I can stitch what I want when I want for as long as I want. Some things call me, some things I'll come across and I'll remember why I started stitching them, also why I stopped stitching them. But this is definitely one that I want to get complete. She's too beautiful to leave her as a whip and waiting for too long. So that's Angel of Hope by Lavender and Lace, stitched on 32 count, 2/2, Jack's Run Lugana by Hendo Fabrics by Stephanie. Just a couple more things. I had some questions about the felt again. I have said it in previous videos. People ask me where I get it from. I just get it from Spotlight because we're here in Australia. We don't have many outlets to get them from. Just the standard, you buy them in the A4 sheets. You can buy them by the metre if you want to lash out and buy meters of felt. It's not very thick. You can just buy them in the A4 sheets, and all I do is I use my pinking shears, trusty pinking shears, to cut them up, and I just cut a half piece and I put that under my snaps. So that's how I use my felt. I have shown it in previous videos as to why I use it, how I use it. If you don't have needle minders, when you pop the snap on with the felt, so basically that's sitting over the top, you can actually lace your needle through there if you don't have a needle minder. So it's just handy. Protects your work. But like I've said, you can always view my other video and I'll explain to you why I use it. But the felt, someone asked me where I get the felt, what size the felt is. I just buy it from Spotlight, A4 size. It's relatively thin. Just cut it with my pinking shears, pop it under each corner so I get 2 sheets, and I just use it. I use it till it wears out. So I don't have to buy it very often. I've still got the same sheets that I've had for the last year, 2 years, maybe longer than that actually. So yeah, you can buy it by the metre from pretty much any craft store, or here in Australia you can just buy it from Spotlight. It's not expensive, it's like $1 for us. Some places sell it cheaper. The other thing was the graph gripper. Someone asked me where I got it from. I did get it from 123 Stitch. This is what it is. So you can actually put it on your scroll rods. I use it for my Fingers of God piece. I'll just show that up again so you can see it. Oops. It just sits on top of my head. So when I'm stitching with it, I sort of, because I'm cross country, I just pick one thread colour and I just run with it until I run out of that particular thread colour. You know, the symbols run out on that particular page. So I just keep the chart up here. It's just handy. But I'm not having to refer to it every 5 minutes. It's just sitting there in front of me. You can move it down, change it over. I fold my pages in quarter like I showed in my last video. But yeah, 123 Stitch. They do sell them over here in Australia, for those that are in Australia and want to know where they can get them. I think that was all the questions that I was asked. If I've missed anything, or if there are any questions that I've missed under the video, I'll be sure to make sure that I answer them in my next video. The drawing for the Lizzie Kate I Cannot Count My Day Complete from the last video, I will add a little mini extension onto this video with the results. Congratulations. And we will get that in the post as soon as possible. I've also included DMC threads. Okay. The other thing was I had a few comments on Instagram about my needle minder on my insect cell. I've showed people before on previous videos, but just for anyone that's maybe not going through previous videos, this is the one that was on my Instagram shot on my irresistible insect cell. It is my Ladybug Needle Minder by Clay by Kim. Fantastic needle minders. Ever since I've found her, I don't use any others. I have a Ladybug one, I have a Christmas one, and I have a Cauldron one. I would love to have more, but realistically I only need a couple, so. And they're really handy. I've just left that in there so you can see where the needle goes. So you can put them in the middle, or you can put them on top. I know people were like, you can only use them underneath, but you can actually use them for both. That's how I do it. Clay by Kim needle minders, fantastic. So, just a quick wrap up. So So I've already explained to you what I'm going to be doing for the remaining parts of March, what's been happening during February, taking care of my husband and the kids and myself. Just a couple of the Flosstube channels I just want to give a few shout outs to. It's important for us as a community to encourage new viewers, anyone that views Flosstubers, just to shout out a few names so that we can sort of spread the word that there are others out there and draw inspiration and encouragement from people around the community. So Sherry Burkett, she's doing Lady of the Flag, the Mirabella piece that is out of print now, but it is just looking fantastic. That American flag is just coming together gorgeously. Kelly Ann's also stitching the charity stitch along, Stitch Rovia charity stitch along. It's coming along really, really well. Aussie Stitcher, I have to give a shout out to Aussie Stitcher. She's also stitching one of my husband's pieces, a Heaven and Earth design, Outback Storm. So it's really cool to have someone else in Australia that's stitching a Heaven and Earth design by the same designer. And she's phenomenal. I mean, during the school holiday, she was still videoing, even with her kids. My kids are here, but they're in their rooms doing bits and pieces at the moment. The other one that I came across the other day, it's the first time I viewed any of her Flosstube videos, was Disastrously Domestic. I had to laugh, I'm sorry, but she was stitching the Hill piece, I can't think of the name at the moment, by Barbara Anna, and it's a landscape piece, and she started stitching it, and she was stitching it portrait, and then realised that she'd stitched it the wrong way around. So it was a little funny, but I can also understand the frustration of not wanting to stitch on it momentarily, because obviously, you know, you've gone to all the trouble of stitching it and then found out that it was run the wrong way, because that's quite a big piece. Also to Cozy Egg, she's a huge supporter. She always comments on my pictures on Instagram, and she's just encouraging comments and everything. And also wanted to make a shout out to Ginger Gerald Stitcher. We started about the same time when we were starting Flosstube. He's a male stitcher, which is fantastic. It's great to see the men coming through on Flosstube. Encourages the younger generation so that they know that it's not just a female-driven hobby, it's also for anyone and everyone. He does some amazing pieces. His Henry VIII Heaven and Earth design is incredible. He's restitching for himself the Planet series, phenomenal. So I'll link all of those below. So I just want to do a little whip update for my daughter's piece. Both my daughters stitch when they feel like it. My youngest daughter is taken to doing a large Harry Potter piece. She's really into Harry Potter, so this is the piece that she's doing. This is by, I think it's Stitching Line on Etsy. I'll link it below anyway. So this is the one that she's doing. This is her first big piece. She did a very small black cat and another piece that she gave me for Christmas, just a random one that she designed herself. I might show that in a future video. She's stitching this on 14 count cream Ada, and this is where she's at. Sorry about the creases, I've just taken off the Q-snaps. So almost completed the border. Oh, sorry about this. So this is what it looks like. So she's just got the last of the spell to go, the Expecto Patronum. But for a first time stitcher on a really large piece, she's done a phenomenal job. So this is 4 weeks worth of stitching. So really proud. She's done fantastically. My oldest daughter is also stitching. She's stitching the Satsuma Street Mini Cities trio. I might show that in a future video. We'll see how we go. But yeah, so she's stitching this Harry Potter piece and almost has the border complete. So she's doing really, really well. But I just thought I'd add it to my video. I'm not the only stitcher in the house. And that's her progress on her first large piece. So really, really great. I know she'd love some encouragement to continue on before she gets into those heavy middle sections. But fantastic progress. She's only 11, so she's doing really, really well. So that was Harry Potter piece by Stitching Line on Etsy, stitched on 14 count Ada, cream Ada. I hope you can see that okay. Might start from the bottom. And that's her piece. And just one last thing before I go. I was very lucky to be one of the winners in Stitcherista's giveaway of the $50 gift certificate to Down Sunshine Lane. When it comes in, I'm going to do a little mini video maybe, or I'll add it to my next one depending on when it arrives here in Australia, but I'll tell you what was in it. It has, I bought 3 charts and also a light, a portable light. It's one of those Hammerhead Mighty Bright lights, so it's going to be really, really helpful and allow me to do a bit more stitching later in the evening, which is my preferred time. So I'm really, really excited about that. And then 3 charts. So I got Cross Stitch Nation by Heartstring Samplery, and also Coffee Saves Lives, the Magical Elixir series. That's part 1. I know there's a stitch along for part 2 that was released with the Nashville market releases. So I look forward to doing that as well. And I also got the Lizzie Kate, if you live to be 100, is the quote from Winnie the Pooh, I believe it is. So I got those 3 charts and the Hammerhead light. Really, really excited to see them arrive. A lot of people probably have noticed that I don't show a lot of haul on my Flosstube videos. I try to stitch from stash as best I can. Every now and then I do add 1 or 2 things here and there. Obviously, depending on life's commitments, you know, bills to pay, things to do, children, husbands, hobbies. So I do tend to splurge once a year around August and get a couple of things if I need to. So you won't see haul in my Flosstube video, so I apologise to anyone who is expecting me to do that, because I just don't do that. I feel guilty when I spend money on my hobby unless I'm going to use it straight away. But it's that one time of the year in August where I have that ability, and I buy a few things, and that sort of that's what I do. That's how it is. So anyway, thank you very much to everyone for liking and subscribing. Thank you very much for tuning in. I don't normally video in the evenings, so this is a first. But again, thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you all next month and updating you on what I've been up to. So thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye. I'm just going to pop the URL in here from my last video. Click go. Pick a random winner. And the winner is Sandra's Stitches. Congratulations. So you can get in contact with me either on Facebook, or probably better on Instagram under Stitching Fleur, or on YouTube, or I will leave my email address below and you can contact me that way, and I'll get it posted out to you as soon as possible. Congratulations, Sandra's Stitches.